Yes, I think first and foremost, the conversation that we had in the locker room was a very good conversation. Guys, players, and coaches were able to get a lot off of their chests. Um, some of it was uncomfortable for a lot of people, but I think, and I said this earlier, it was necessary because there were a bunch of mixed emotions as we were prepared to take the field today for our scrimmage. And I think it was better that we got that off our chest before we went out there. Ultimately, coach made the decision to not proceed and go forward with our scrimmage. As players, we respect that decision. We're all in this together, and I think it was the right decision. It allows us as players to still converse and get with one another to figure out what's the plan moving forward for us to help change not only in our communities, not only in this community in LA, but our respective communities from where we're from, and as well throughout the nation. And of course, we don't have the answers right now. The conversations are still going. It was a bunch of healthy conversation after Coach made that decision, and I think guys are on board as far as whatever we need to do to help push change.
As a follow-up, did you see the video of the shooting of Jacob Blake?
Say that one more time.
Did you see the Jacob Blake shooting, the video?
Yes, I did.
And what's your thought on your reaction with the thought?
First and foremost, my heart goes to his family. Like I said, I don't know every detail. Of course, the police report is still out there. Everything is a one-sided story right now. We have yet to hear from Jacob Blake. But it's sickening watching that. I mean, that's not the first time we've had to view this on national television. This is one of too many times that this happened. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's our reality, and that shouldn't be okay. There's a right way to do things, and there's a wrong way, and I think that ultimately that was the wrong way, and the officer should be held accountable as well as everyone involved in that situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Tyrod, when you see that video, do you have flashbacks of anything happening in your life as a kid?
I've dealt with the police, or I had encounters with police officers, nothing that would got to a physical matter, but I definitely have heard stories. I've have friends, I have family members that have dealt with law enforcement that's been physical, and I'm pretty sure for each locker room, there's at least one person in there who has either experienced it or have family members or loved ones that has experienced this too. Like I said, it's uncomfortable to talk about, and it's tough to process at the time. It's unfortunate that we have to go through that, but I think with the platform that we have now, what we can do is just to push change. And yes, we've came a long way from where it's been in the years before, but it's still a long ways to go. And as athletes, with a lot of attention on this day in and day out, our message towards our communities and towards society should be to push for change. I mean, because no human, regardless of race, deserves any brutality from law enforcement.
So just my quick follow-up is Anthony really said when he made the decision to cancel practice, he was like, we got more accomplished in the locker room than we ever would on the field. Do you agree with that? And what did you mean by that from when you hear that?
I think so. Like I said, the conversations was healthy in there. Of course, you have different races throughout the locker room. I'm a black man, and yes, I play football, but when I leave this stadium, when I leave that locker room, I'm a black man when I go out in the world. And I have to go to grocery stores, barbershops, drive a car, etc. And you have to deal with the fear that you don't know what could happen once you're pulled over. And that's the case for a lot of people in our locker room, like I said, regardless of the race. So to be able to get that conversation out amongst each other, to understand where everyone is, what's everyone's take on it, Of course, there's going to be different perspectives throughout the locker room. Some it affects some more than others, and some people it doesn't affect at all. And I think just talking through that was good for the team, and it was good to have that conversation. So when he says that, when Coach Lynn says that it was more accomplished in the locker room than it was on the field, yes, we understand we play football for a living, and we're all blessed and thankful for that opportunity. But at the same time, there's real issues in this country going on that needs to be dealt with, and conversations that need to be had. And if you never have them, then you can never affect the society and push for change. Thank you.
Hey, Tyrod, we got a couple questions for you. About that conversation, what sparked that conversation? Was it something the coach asked you guys to pour out your heart, or the players wanted to have this heartfelt conversation? Just what sparked that conversation this morning?
Yes, so we treated today as a game day, of course, with our scrimmage. And last night we had our night meetings. And Coach, we had a Zoom meeting, and Coach came on and asked guys what was the emotion around what was going on with the Jacob Blake situation, and just the temperature of what's going on in this country. And guys had their initial emotions, but I think it was an opportunity for guys to also process it and sleep on it. When I got to the stadium today, there were a bunch of conversations going on throughout the locker room, and I talked to guys last night, and of course this morning when I got to the locker room. And I think that with so many different conversations going on, we didn't want to take that to the field. If anything, we needed to hash it in the locker room and move forward if we were going to take the field, and not let that linger onto the field. And Coach got a wind of the different conversations that were going on in the locker room and felt that it was best that we have that conversation in front of everyone before we hit the field, and just to get everybody to talk through their emotions and what was going on.
Thank you for that explanation. As a black man who actively works with various communities, what are your plans of action to enact the change that you speak about?
First and foremost, educating my community and the people that I impact to vote. I believe that it starts there. Of course, like I said, we don't have the answers. I think this is ongoing. And as we continue to educate ourselves, we'll be able to inform others even more. And we're planning things throughout. I just had a conversation with Justin Jackson in the locker room, as well as other members of our team, personnel, as to what we can do, and not just on off days, not just Tuesdays of the year, but every day, and use our platform to shed light on what's going on, but also to impact change. So to answer your question, what can we do now? The most urgent thing is to get everyone to register to vote, that's able to vote. But moving forward, I think that conversation is just going to continue to keep growing and building. And there are going to be many ways to affect change in a positive way. We just have to tackle them. And maybe it's not tackle them all, but at least try to get the ones that we can, while still being able to still focus on what we do for a living.
All right, let's go over here. Hey, Tyler, just hear from Coach Lynn and from you now, and from all the guys that spoke on NFL Network, including yourself. It sounds like this conversation that happened earlier today in the locker room was different than other conversations. Do you feel like it was different? If it was different, how was it?
Yes, it was different. This is obviously my second year here, so as far as many deep conversations in the locker room, this is probably the first one that I've had in years, and on any team. And it was more emotion in this one. Like I said, it's different age groups throughout the locker room. You have coaches that are older, you have players who are veterans, you have younger guys, and I think every age group got up and spoke. And we all agree that enough is enough, and that we're tired of talking about the same things. But unfortunately, that's our reality. And whether we're tired or not, we have to do whatever it takes to help change that narrative. And that's what our focus is on now. The conversation, like I've stated, was a great one. But the focus now is what can we do to help change? And that's where our focus is. That's what we're going to spend our time outside of football, thinking on what we can do to help change, especially here in LA.
Why do you feel like today was the day where that conversation maybe got more candid than it had in the past? Is it just the fact that you guys generally being so frustrated with the lack of change despite these killings happening over and over again?
Yes, I think you also look at the NBA and MLB taking a stance yesterday. Yes, this is a sports culture, and we're all brothers, and you want to stand and support your brothers, but they're standing for a cause, and that was a statement that they made yesterday. And yes, we're not playing a game today, but it's still fresh on our minds, and these issues at hand are real. And people who watched that video, people who've seen that video, if it didn't bother you, at the end of the day, you should have to, or you shouldn't have to. You should go back and check yourself and check your morals and check your spiritual grounding, everything. That wasn't a pleasing video by any means. And like I said, we're just tired of having this conversation.
Tyrod, do you think the conversation was more raw too because everybody was together in the locker room as opposed to being on Zoom conversations?
Agreed. I think the in-person meeting was definitely more emotional. Through Zoom, it's kind of tough to gauge emotion, obviously behind a computer screen, but having everyone together and not on a football field, this is actually like one of the first times we've been all together in a locker room in a new place. Of course, the excitement of being in this awesome stadium, but still having to address the issues that are going on in society. It was just a real conversation, and like you said, yes, the emotions were strong because we were in person, but I think it was also strong just because it's real issues that we're dealing with, and that each person has to deal with when they leave.
And also too, are things more raw this week too, considering that there's a convention going on where there's talk of law and order, yet you have the incident that occurred in Wisconsin and these things keep happening?
That could add to it. I know. Yes, it's unfortunate that like you said, we're still standing here talking about it while the convention is going on. But I think they were more raw just because of the statement that was made yesterday from our brothers in NBA and baseball. I'm not aware of what other NFL teams had scrimmages today. I think Washington postponed theirs as well. So the initial plan, was for us to come out here and play today, and we were all excited about it. And even the guys in the locker room throughout that conversation, we stated that we did want to go out there and practice, but coach just felt that it was best for us to take this day to process everything that was talked about in our meeting, and to come back refreshed and of course ready to play ball, but also with the plan of attack to help change.
All right, Shawn, you're up.
Hey, Tyrod.
How you doing?
You talked about some of the other sports. When you see, NBA guys postpone games or Major League Baseball, MLS, WNBA, what have you, what's that feeling like seeing, other athletes stand up and make a stand?
It's impactful. I know it's tough for basketball because one of their main goals while going down to the bubble was to try to shed light on what's going on. You see that they had the Black Lives Matter on the basketball courts, and they chose to put different phrases on the back of their jerseys, and to still be out there competing for a championship in such a time like we're in now, and to still have to deal with national headlines of what's going on and what happened to Jacob Blake is tough. It's a statement that they made yesterday, and it was a powerful statement. And I think everyone in the sports world definitely heard him, but I think people throughout the country heard him as well. Sports has not been on TV as often, obviously because of the pandemic, and people look to us as role models. So it's our duty and our responsibility, whether people believe it or not, to be able to play at a professional level, but also speak on the things that are going on in this country. And we all want what's best for humans. It's not a race thing. It's about humans.
A lot of your teammates mentioned Coach Stewart earlier this morning. How would you describe?
It was powerful. What he said, Coach Stu is first and foremost one of the best coaches I've been around. Make sure I have a conversation with him every day. He's full of energy. He's full of knowledge. But what he shared in the locker room today stood out to not only me, but a lot of the guys throughout the locker room. For him, actually experiencing police brutality, having a best friend who experienced it as well too. Seeing those things firsthand, or having him explain those things firsthand, it definitely hit home, and it makes you feel for him. And you look at George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Jacob Blake, Elijah McCain, and I mean you look around the locker room, and that can very well be some of us when we leave this locker room when we're not on this field. So it definitely hits home. Like I said, my heart goes out to those families, and we appreciate it. Stand-up guy and Coach Stewart for coming in and sharing those moments and being vulnerable, and just talking with us and keeping it real.
Hey, Tyrod, you were recently mic'd up, and you mentioned you wanted justice for Breonna Taylor. Obviously, she's on your mind, but sometimes does it feel like an extra weight that, there's things that you're carrying in your heart, but you have to take to the Packers field? Is that sometimes a tough balance?
I don't think it's a tough balance. It's reality. And I meant what I said when it comes to justice for Breonna Taylor. But athletes, we have a lot on our heart, whether it's society issues or family issues. At the end of the day, still a professional, and you're here to do a job. So you're able to do that, but at the same time, when it's an opportunity to shed light on situations, if you have the opportunity to speak, you use your platform in a positive way. And I think that was, I know that was my motive in that. It wasn't trying to be on TV, just trying to get a headline or anything. It was really, truly from my heart when I said that.
And Tyrod, obviously, you're doing good things for your team, and it seems like you have support from your coaches, GM, and the owner. But you think, as a league as a whole, that the owners could do a lot more to help out and create change?
I can't speak for the owners as a whole because I don't know what which owners are doing certain things. I know we have our owner here, and Mr. Spanos, who supports us, supports our coach, and he does a great job of helping us give back to the community. And we're going to continue to keep putting our best foot forward and figuring out what we can do to help push change. Like I said, our owner supports us 100%, and we're thankful for that, and we're going to continue to push positivity in the way that we see fit.
Thank you, Tyrod.
Thank you.
All right, Tyrod, thank you for the time.
Thank you.